As society rapidly changes, individuals will have to be able to function comfortably in a world that is always in flux. Knowledge will continue to increase at a dizzying rate. This means that a content-based curriculum with a set body of information to be imparted to students is entirely inappropriate as a means of preparing children for their adult roles. People will be faced with greater individual responsibility to direct their own lives. Children must grow up in an environment that stresses self-motivation and self-assessment. Schools that focus on external motivating factors, such as rewards and punishments for meeting goals set by others, are denying children the tools they need most to survive. The ability to communicate with others, to share experiences, to collaborate, and to exchange information is critical. Conversation, the ultimate means of communication, must be an essential part of a sound education. As the world moves toward universal recognition of individual rights within a democratic society, people must be empowered to participate as equal partners in whatever enterprise they are engaged in. Students and teachers require full participation in running educational institutions, including the right to radically change them when needed. Technology now makes it possible for individuals to learn whatever they wish, whenever they wish, and in the manner they wish. Students should be empowered with both the technology and the responsibility for their own learning and educational timetable. Children have an immense capacity for concentration and hard work when they are passionate about what they are doing, and the skills they acquire in any area of interest are readily transferable to other fields. Schools must thus become far more tolerant of individual variation and far more reliant on self-initiated activities. The social philosopher Hannah Arendt once wrote that the aim of totalitarian education has never been to instill conviction, but to destroy capacity to form any. If one were to poll our nation's leading educators about what the goal of our education system should be, I suspect one would come up with as many goals as educators. But I also imagine that the capacity to form one's own convictions, independent of what was being taught in the classroom, the ability to think critically based upon one's own experiences, would not rank high on many lists. In fact, the idea that the goal of education might have little to do with what goes on in the classroom would likely strike most educators of whatever political stripe as heresy. In the context of our culture, it is easy to see that critical thinking is a threat. As parents, we all want what is best for our children, yet by our own actions and lifestyles, and through the demands that we place on our educational institutions, it is clear that by best, we all too often mean most. This shift from qualitative to quantitative, from thinking about what is best for the holistic development of the individual human being, to thinking about what resources should be available to semi-monopoly government educational institutions, certainly does not bear close scrutiny. Shouldn't we also ask ourselves what the consequences are for scrambling to provide the most of everything to our children in a world of fast dwindling resources? What does the mad and often brutally competitive scramble for resources, for more pay for teachers, for more equipment, for more money for schools, teach our children about us? More crucially, what message does this mad scramble send to those children who, through no fault of their own, lose out in competition? And what would be the cost to the social fabric if our children's convictions were based on their experience? Perhaps we are already paying the cost of the development of such convictions, however poorly articulated in the forms of violence, chemical dependency, teenage pregnancy, and a host of other social ills affecting today's young people. This is by John Gatto and Thomas More, Dumbing Us Down, The Hidden Curriculum of Compulsory Schooling. And there's a link provided below where you can get the book and the audiobook. Make sure to join us every day at 3:30 p.m. on Self Education Radio and Blog Talk Radio. The link's below also. This is your host, Prince Avery. Thanks for stopping by.